Peace. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to the Foul Playland. As always, I am Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn. Before I get on to the business at hand, I'd please like to invite you to like, subscribe, share my content. YouTube algorithmically is killing me because I don't talk about things that are pleasing to the powers that be. Nevertheless, I trudge on, and with your help, I keep beating the algorithm in my short venture into YouTube. But let me get to the topic at hand, and that's another facet of this NYC migrant mass arrival that we've encountered in these past 2 years. But the facet or the subject at hand has been made popular because famous rapper 50 Cent has commented on it. And he's commented on a new policy that's been introduced by Mayor Eric Adams, one of the worst mayors in the history of New York City. That policy is where they want to reward migrant families with debit cards that have $1,000 within them to get on their feet and to sow their roots into New York City or into America with the help of these debit cards that have $1,000. Now, if you guys aren't aware, Eric Adams, New York City's mayor, threatened to cut down several of the services in New York City. I know one of the services was actually police patrols on the transit lines and in schools. I know they mentioned school safety officers, which are regular NYPD officers for the most part. They also made a mention of cutting down libraries being the times that in which they could remain open. I'm pretty sure that other things are gonna suffer, or other services are gonna be cut because of the fact that New York City has taken the path of giving migrants money, housing, food, shelter, clothing, from what it looks like. But just this past summer, I mean, New York City was waving the white flag and saying that they have run out of resources to deal with this crisis, even though they were still considering themselves a sanctuary city at that point. But they were trying to give signals that, listen, like, I need any help outside that I can get. This is Eric Adams. If you guys could either close the border or give us money, like, to deal with this problem. I think he was trying to set signals out, and he probably wasn't getting his needs fulfilled as far as what he thought in terms of like extra budget to deal with the migrant problem. But fast forward to 2024, and this was happening this summer where he was waving the white flag as far as not having money. But fast forward to February of 2024, and of course, they find $56 million as part of this program to give to, I don't know how many that is, 56,000 different debit cards out, if my math is correct, with $1,000 a piece within them. And that's a load of baloney. I mean, right now, there's a ton of people that could use $1,000 right now. Would you need $1,000 prior to happy Valentine's Day? I'm pretty sure you would, especially in times like this. Technically, most people consider this time of the year one of the worst times of the year, fiscally, coming off of having to buy Christmas stuff and now going into Valentine's Day. You got to buy your lady or your loved one a gift. And, some people go out of their way and do the most to try to get the money to buy said gift. Now, if a newly arrived man, which most of the migrant population that's born into New York are a bunch of men that are between the ages of, looks like 16 and 28. Bunch of jackasses for the most part too. I mean, that's just my assessment. Like, it just seems like a lot of dudes that are just chilling, clowning around, playing with their hands, like with each other, like as far as like play fighting with each other, men. Just a bunch of stupid shit. I mean, stuff that if you were to see it in your supermarket or in your regular thoroughfare, and you saw like two jackasses playing with their hands and like slap boxing with each other. I mean, it's not like you look at it glowingly. Oh wow, These guys are just getting a load off. No, it's a bunch of non-English speaking. You could tell newly arrived people that are just lingering around New York City all day, doing nothing, looking for a quick come up, and they're also being financed by the city of New York, a city that supposedly has no money, but magically they find money for the diamond class of the liberal left and the new class of people. The summer of love is over. So I'm sorry, or voters that were getting a lot of weasel words thrown their way from 2016 to 2020. You're no longer needed to the liberal left unless you're like a radicalized female that doesn't want a husband and argues with everybody she sees. But they no longer need your services. The diamond class of people in America are the newest arrivals, and I'm pretty sure that any project in Brooklyn, Red Hook, Farragut, LG, could have used that money. Like tons of people within those projects. There's tons of people within those projects that have mold growing within their houses and suffer from asthma generationally, and that doesn't even and they've never rectified things. Even when I lived in Section 8, good luck trying to get a landlord or NYCHA, the New York City Housing Authority, to fix something in your apartment. But when it comes to this new experiment that they're trying on the American population, which is being launched off more than anywhere in New York City, then they have all the money in the world, it seems. And that's a damn shame. 56 million bucks. I mean, that's at least how many houses in New York City that you could have given to homeless vets, which for the most, I mean, a lot of times you talk to homeless people, especially black cats from the 70s, 80s that served in the military that are living in the street now. It's pathetic. I mean, and these aren't dudes that are 730 or nuts that like can't hold a conversation or are shitting themselves or cleaning themselves with fucking newspaper or some shit. These are regular, sharp, smart dudes that hang out at the VA hospital because they don't have a warm quarter to stay under and roam around all New York City. And this is not a new phenomenon. This has been happening since the 90s, as far as I remember. You could have got those people out of poverty with 10% of the money that they're given to these newly arrived immigrants. Not only that, I mean, even though New York City and the country has paid a significant amount of cash for this failed experiment, and I say experiment begrudgingly because I think that this is all planned, and I don't think that they view this as a failure in terms of how things are going. Because I mean, if this plan is sinister, then it just might be that the getting people in mass was the plan, and I don't think that plan has anything to do with votes. I barely even think we're gonna have an election in 2024 when I sit down and think about it. No, I think that this plan potentially could lead us into really kinetic situations here domestically, which has to scare you. I mean, like, if you believe what happened in terms of the Hamas attack on Israel, where a couple of people from the Gaza Strip and other places, I guess, got on these bicycles that fly, I don't know what they're called, like these mobile flying devices, and were able to propel their way into Israel, which has a better, like probably better military per capita than the United States, and were able to, if you believe the story, the official narrative, that this country, Israel, was able to be invaded with a couple thousand people from the Gaza Strip, which you're not allowed to have guns in Gaza Strip, if I'm correct. And also know for sure that Israeli citizens, it's very easy for them to pack weaponry. It's very easy for them to carry rifles in the street, nobody looks at that funny. But nevertheless, I mean, the weaponry you see in Israel, as far as by its citizenry, is probably comparable, if not more, than what you see in America. Because in America, you don't really see people walking around with rifles unless you're in Hickville. Nevertheless, people were able to go from Gaza, scrounge up weapons that they had to get from God knows where, and use these devices. If you look on some of the old videos that they were showing in the immediate aftermath of that attack from Hamas, those are pretty much like bikes with propellers. So you're telling me that those people were able to go into Israel, cause that much havoc? I mean, like, supposedly it was 7,000 people that are killed or missing with a handful of weapons. There wasn't no rocket attacks from what I saw, nothing like of that nature. Now in New York City, I mean, like, what if a couple of these assholes wanted to do something similar? And you already got a story recently in New York City of a 15-year-old kid that just came from Venezuela who had a 45 caliber handgun, and he shot somebody in JD Sports store in Times Square. And this kid was attending high school. This kid was forced into or wedged into already existing high school with students that are probably your kids. This kid had the wherewithal to find, or the money, the resources, the connections to find a 45 caliber weapon, which he was able to shoot a security guard or something to that effect. Now, what if that's 1,000 migrants that were able to get themselves handguns, and they all went out and did something in concert? It's just something I think about. I mean, if you guys, but there was another point I wanted to make in that effect. And that's another thing too. In regards to that story, well, I could make a separate video about that shooting too, because and I'll do that in my next video, just to carry into, so that these things could this video and the next one could gel together. But it's very sus, all these things. You don't know what the reasoning behind the liberal left, the lunatic fringe left, you don't know what their intentions are in bringing all these people in, all these military age men into the country. Guess we're all going to find out together. Hopefully you don't get that perception from your regular mainstream media news, because they've been lying to you every step of the way. You come right back to your boy Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn, and I'll give you the real as much as I can, because the news is a bunch of baloney. The news made it seem like you had to drink the tea to beat the super flu. They lied. The news made it seem like there was no problem at the border. They lied. The news made it seem that the super flu didn't come out of Asia. They lied. The media made it seem like that was racism to talk about the super flu coming from Asia, and they still lied. So don't get your news from the crappy mainstream media. It's something I always say on this channel. Come to or go find news sources, because you're gonna need all the information you get. These are the craziest times I've ever lived through, and I know some of you may feel that way, but you have safe harbor here in the Foul Playland with me. Again, please like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps the algorithm a lot. I hope you guys have a wonderful Valentine's Day, but stay tuned for my next video about the Times Square shooting. With that, I'm out. Peace.